objective of this course on automata theory is the following: to understand what is solvable versus unsolvable, or computable versus non-computable, so when we talk about solvability or computability, we work with machines, which means we are trying to understand the limits of computing, or in particular limitations of computing machines. So what are computing machines? It could be ATM machine, it could be a calculator, it could be a computer, it could be a classical computer or a supercomputer, or it could be a parallel computer, so it could be anything. And so almost every machine that we come across these days, they have some computing power. They are not purely mechanical in nature. So which means for any computing machine, one can talk about this. And it could even be automatic washing machine, and automatic cars, self-driving cars, and so on. Now, for example, with ATM machine, there are restrictions. For example, it can only dispense cash, and its limitations are it cannot dispense coins. And when you ask for dispense cash for integer x, it can only give you in specific denominations, for example 500, 200, 100, and other denominations may not be possible. And that's the limitation of this machine. So can you design a machine which can dispense coins as well? Can you think of a machine which will give change for any integer x? Suppose I say 1, 2, 3, 4, and can a machine dispense change for 1234? And so things like this one can ask. So with calculator, if you see, it can compute say trigonometric functions, e power x, and so on, but it cannot compute sorting of n numbers. And with computers, you can almost solve every problem that we come across, but are there limitations? For example, we saw that as part of a course on discrete structures, computers cannot print the set of natural numbers. So it cannot print the set of real numbers. And can you write a C++ program to print all C programs, print all C programs? Answer is no. So which means, and with computers, you can solve sorting, you can recognize an image processing, you can run ML algorithms, and so on. You can check whether a number is prime or not, and ML algorithm will do a specific task. It could be a prediction, it could be a classification, and so on. So these are all the things that computers can solve, and this is something that they cannot solve. Okay. So So now this is precisely what we are interested in as part of this course. So this is precisely the limits of computing or limitations of computing mission. Now you are given some computing mission or model with its description, meaning the model has got a memory, a computing mission which can compute, these are all the circuits present in the computing mission, and then with this you talk about its computing power, and with this you also talk about limitations, meaning these are all the problems that this mission cannot compute. Okay, so this requires some amount of formal understanding of missions so that you can talk about its computing power. Okay, so again, to solve you just have to produce a solution or an algorithm, but to say that this mission, and whatever way you design or you come up with a solution, and that solution will not be the right solution to this problem. So which means there are inputs for which the algorithm discovered fails. So which means the problem is unsolvable. So which means one should understand the mission or the mathematical model thoroughly to talk about solvability versus unsolvability. So the focus of this course is to understand the limits of computing. So what we will be focusing on as part of this is computing missions and or computing models. As mentioned in multiple courses, models gives you abstraction. So due to the abstraction power, you can understand many things in a nutshell, and it is also kind of gives you a formal way of representing the computing power of a mission. So we shall be discussing a couple of mathematical models, and for each of them we will study its computing power. So because we talk about missions and models, we should understand or we should speak the way machine can understand. So in an attempt to understand what machines can do, what machines cannot do, we should speak to the machine the way machine can understand things. Correct? So between human beings, it is a natural language, English, Chinese. So between machines or machine and a human, we need formal languages, which is why this course has been titled Languages. So we will be learning formal languages, we will be learning missions, models, and which is why this has been named missions as well. Then we talk about its computing power. So when we talk about its computing power, we talk about what is that this machine can solve, what is that this machine cannot solve. Solvability versus unsolvability. So we fix a model, we describe the model. For example, if it is a computer, there is a primary memory, there is something called arithmetic logic unit that can do the operation, and then you can store in primary memory or secondary memory, and there are programs that are preloaded. So with this setup, and that's my mission or model. And how will you talk to a machine? You have to talk to them using a binary language or assembly language or high-level programming language. With that, you say something like a number is prime or not, yes, it can be checked. And Fibonacci sequence can be generated by a computing machine. And Fibonacci sequence of finite length, yes, machine can generate. Fibonacci sequence of infinite length, machine cannot generate. And this machine cannot print the set of natural numbers. Okay, and things like this we shall be discussing or paying attention to. So all this was started by Alan Turing somewhere in 1930, and he was working with Churchill at Princeton, and he was a PhD student at Princeton. So between 1930 to 34, Turing and Church did great work in trying to understand the computing power of machines, and computing power of machines. In fact, there was a thesis on this, thesis on the computing power of machines. And so he has described a model, and he said that this is how the machine can accept, read and understand inputs, and this is how you should speak to this machine, and with this configuration or feature, what is that the machine can do and cannot. Okay, and so subsequently there were many discoveries between 1930 to 1950, and after 1950 researchers started realizing these models. For example, IBM came up with computing machines called computers. Then subsequently between 1960 to 1970s some more development has happened, and somewhere in 1970s desktop computers, personal computers started entering the market. But all this, for all of this, the foundation was laid by Professor Alan Turing and his PhD advisor Church, and they did great work on understanding the computing power of machines. And in fact, later stage we named such a machine as Turing machine itself. So the focus of this course will be on this machine and the variants of this. Okay. So between 1930 to 1950, what all machines were discovered and what is that the machine can do, all that we will study as part of this course. Let me list down the models and or missions and the kind of languages, something called grammars, and what all associated with these missions is something I shall list now. So we will be discussing the following computing models. To start with, we will discuss something called finite automaton, automaton, which means something that can do things automatic, and which means it is a machine. It is finite in nature. What is finite about this machine? We shall discuss. And we formally describe what this machine is and computing power of this machine through multiple means. we talk about something called grammar. What is that this machine can understand, and what grammar does this machine follow, what language does this machine follow or accept. Okay. For example, to ATM machine, if you say you give me a cup of coffee, machine cannot, but one has to press appropriate button to request the machine to supply tea or a coffee. So that's the kind of language the machine can accept, okay, or understand. Okay, so something like this is what we'll be discussing. With this we will study, or through this we will study its computing power. Then we will discuss something called push down automaton, and again its computing power and so on. Then we will discuss something called Turing machines. We will also look at some variants of this, some new avatars of these machines as we move through this course, maybe as part of the lecture, or maybe as part of tutorial, assignment and so on. For example, the machine has got a specific configuration. With this you can only do so much, and so language cannot be accepted. Now we will say, suppose I introduce this additional power to this machine, will the computing power increase? So we will also look at variants of above computing models. And each of them has got excellent application in the field of computer science. And for example, almost every task that we do, it is Turing. And when we talk about course on compiler design, this course acts as a prerequisite, which means push down automaton plays a role over there. So what we will do, let me describe each of them and what is that the machine can offer to us. Then we will get into a formal way of representing something called alphabet. Then we will get into the language. Then I'll talk about how should I talk to a finite automaton, and what way the instruction should be given to finite automaton, and similarly to push down automaton and to Turing machines. And when we start looking at each of these machines, we will take specific case studies, and we will talk about design, how to design a push down automaton for this. And in case a push down automaton cannot be designed for so and so question, we will analyze why. Thereby you get to understand the computing power of push down automaton. Then we ask, can I introduce this power? With this, can push down automaton solve this? Like this, we will do this analysis for each of the mission. And towards the end of the course, we ask this question, can Turing machine compute everything? Are there solvable or unsolvable problems as far as Turing machine is concerned, and limitations of Turing machines? And are there missions, for example, beyond Turing machines, something that cannot be computed using Turing machines? Can it be done using something called beyond Turing machines? So things like this we will analyze, and with that we will also bring connection between modern day computers and Turing machines, and you get to see that whatever computers can do, Turing machines can do. Turing machines can do little more as well. So which means we will slowly realize that Turing machine acts as a good mathematical model for modern day computers. To understand the computing power of modern day computers, it is sufficient to understand the computing power of Turing machines, because ultimate objective is to understand what computers can offer, what computers cannot offer, correct? And for that we want to understand its abstraction, the underlying mathematical model, and we climb towards the end of the course that the closest mathematical model is the Turing machine, and the analysis we do with Turing machine one can relate with modern day computers. And so this way, if you are given any computing mission model, you can talk about solvability versus unsolvability. Okay, so this course will train you to think from the abstract perspective, a formal perspective, the way machine can understand, the way machine can interpret, analyze, and you will also think as if you are a machine, and you will also think what will the machine do from this step to this step, and why is this not possible with this machine, possible with this machine, and such kind of introspection, deep analysis is what we will do. But all this will give you some qualities, and it will make you a good problem solver, and as far as model building, algorithmic thinking, you will also acquire these skills. Okay, let's get into the subject and discover more about this course.